Good evening. Welcome to tonight's live stream. I am going to get started in a moment. I just let everybody on social media know that the stream is currently on the air. Let's take a look. Microphone is working. Great. We've got that where it needs to be. What's going on, computer robots? Glad to see you here. Yeah, once I can, Mr. Chris, you are now on. Okay, before I get started, I can hear you. Go into tonight's perfunctory, and I really want to talk about the newest SJS Direct 2024 book, which just was available made today, Esteem Horror in the Hamptons. Now, Esteem Horror in the Hamptons is the third and final book of the SJS Direct 2024 catalog, and you can pick up your own copy of Esteem Horror in the Hamptons on Amazon.com right now. And you can also find it at other online booksellers like Draft Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and you can also find it at big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you're a fan of the Esteem series and the SJS Direct universe, you definitely want to pick up this book because this book basically is the epilogue to the vampire saga that started with Isis, Night of the Vampires, went on into Isis, Bride of Dracula, and was also featured in Isis Escape from Transylvania, and is also a part of it with the book Eternal Night, which is the novel that Lilith Jim. So this book basically wraps up the vampire saga until I decide to start another vampire story arc. So this book is the epilogue to this story, and it's also an epilogue to Escape from Transylvania and wraps up all the story points here. And they also pay homage to 2000s horror like Saw and The Ring with this book. So you definitely want to pick up Horror in the Hamptons. Again, a fun homage to 2000s horror and also dealing with a lot of SJS Direct Universe continuity. So you want to pick this one up again on Amazon.com. I'm trying to get the sales up for, again, this fun book. And I really want you guys to pick up this book and enjoy another great story in the SJS Direct universe. Now, Esteem Horror in the Hamptons is one of 4 books that are a part of the 2024 catalog. The others are John Haynes' Illuminati, which kicked off the whole SJS Direct 2024 catalog in March. And this book was followed up in April with Isis Dark Incubus, which kicks off the 3rd story arc for the Isis series. And this one really deals with Isis's love life and her relationships. And this one really shows how she's dealing with the whole issue of white supremacy as related to Black love, and also deals with white supremacy's impact on a Black woman's ability to love on the Black female mind. And after that book, we have a refresh of the first Isis book, Isis Amari's Revenge. I asked Bill Walko to design a cover to refresh this book, and I also refreshed the interior. And this book has a brand new ISBN, which makes it a brand new edition. So this book is basically a brand new edition of Isis Amari's Revenge, which kicks off the Isis series. And I'm hoping to get another book refresh, which is Isis The Ultimate Fight, which is the 2nd book in the Isis series. I'm hoping to do that soon. I want to do some sketch work for that. And I'm also working on some sketch work for a new Isis pinup. So that's what I'm working on right now as related to things right now. So this is the picture of the concept art for the pinup for the next Isis book that I'm hoping to work on soon. Right now, I'm in the middle of Spinsterella, Goth Girl Summer, and that light novel is turning out to be a little heavier than I expected. We're currently at 70,000 words on a book that was only supposed to be 50,000 words. So that's what That's what I've been working on before I came on the air. And I'm also looking to deal with a comic that I did a review on. I really wasn't feeling this comic, so I went out and just decided to put it up on eBay. So this Isaac Bell covered Lady Death versus Zombie Tramp #1 can be yours if you want to put in a bid by clicking the link in the chat. So this comic that I owned and wanted to be a part of my personal collection, but I really wasn't feeling the story, you can own this comic, and this comic can be a part of your collection if you want to put in a bid on it. Now, tonight's topic that I'm going to have Mr. Chris and I talk about tonight really comes out of a requested video that one of my viewers wanted me to do. Now, this viewer wanted me to talk about boycotting all of these entertainers and these movies and TV shows that were racist. And in Wednesday's video, I explained why that's just not enough for foundational Black Americans as related to this modern Black media and this media overall. We cannot just go out here and talk about boycotting these entertainers who are racist and these racist media platforms. No, Black people, if you really want to have an impact, we've got to walk away from these media platforms, because these media platforms were never designed for us. And our continued support of them just basically is a toxic frame of thinking. Now, when it comes to these media platforms like Hollywood, Madison Avenue, and the publishing industry, they were all white supremacist platforms. And with them being white supremacist platforms, they were never about elevating the Black image from minute one. No, they were never about elevating our image and making us be have media that presents us in a fashion that inspires and uplifts us, or inspires us to go out here and be our best selves. No, when it comes to this media, again, this was created by white supremacists, and it was designed by white supremacists to elevate the image of the white man and the white woman as the ideal, and it was designed to make it where white people were seen as the only people to aspire to be like. So the whole idea of boycotting this whole platform as related to individuals is just illogical, and it's completely illogical, because if you're boycotting these institutions that were never designed to elevate you, then you're just basically wasting your time. And it basically shows some codependency, because what you're doing is looking to try to get these people to engage when they never wanted to engage with you at all. Because when it comes to the entertainment industry, again, like Hollywood, Madison Avenue advertisers and book publishers, they were never interested in elevating your image or presenting an image of you that was inspiring or uplifting. So the whole idea of boycott makes no logical sense, because what you're doing, if you do talk about a boycott, is you're talking about looking to engage people as related to a discussion to be able to be a part of that whole system. But being a part of that system is not beneficial to us. It's a toxic environment. And again, a toxic environment. And you cannot go out here and get Black empowerment from a white supremacist platform. Makes no logical sense. I mean, a lot of us, we grew up believing we could do that kind of thing when we saw people like Bill Cosby, but Bill Cosby was the exception and not the rule. No, when it comes to these media platforms, foundational Black Americans have to walk away from these media platforms and support people like Mr. Chris from Chris and Company. Mr. Chris, are you there?
I am here, sir.
Great.
I am here doing. I'm here, sir. It's been a little bit of time since you and I have done one of these, and so it was long overdue. And
Yeah,
I'm glad to be back here tonight with you, my brother.
great. So
So if you're tagging me in on this one, you're absolutely right. You and I, being Gen Xers, though, we've seen the whole gambit, right? So
yeah,
once again, in the 80s, what was the appearance of inclusion was pretty much more of the same as far as racism, but just we got to remember we were 20 years down the line from what happened in the 60s to the 80s. So looking back at that, racism had evolved even then, except you and I were too young to understand it. So really looking back at it, racism is more so about trying to misguide the young Black generations than us, because by time we're both in our early 50s, we've already seen the whole racist cycle and the system on where we're at today. But if white supremacy in and of itself could still try to tell the young Black generations, the Gen Zs and younger, that, hey, racism just doesn't exist. Don't listen to your older Black elders. They're just mad and bitter. Today's a new day, only to find out that the young white generation, not all, but way too many of them, the young white generation usually ends up being their parents and their grandparents when they claim that they are not. So that's what happens. And that's the absolute truth.
yep, that's what happens. They became just like their parents, and that's why we have to understand that they're going to produce the same kind of media that their parents did. And when it comes to their media, they basically just want to see anti-Black imagery. And what they did was look to repackage it. I mean, I remember back in the 80s growing up and people pushing the whole diversity thing. But as I was growing up, I was watching people like Bill Cosby trying to turn things around in that golden age. Unfortunately, we had a problem in that age, in that we had a lot of these Black bootlicks looking to come in and looking to try to take away from that progress. And that's how we got this media out here as related to it turning back into the same anti-Black messaging that we've always gotten from this mainstream media. And the only way to be able to not have this media basically turn you into a toxic individual and be programmed by this media is we've got to start looking to cut ties from this media, and that's something we need to do. Now, when I was watching Professor Black Truth and I listened to him talk about how the media is mind control, it really stuck with me because I understood what I was, because I put that as part of the Isis Bride of Dracula cover, where I show Isis being basically controlled by this Dracula, this vampire. And that's what most of this Hollywood and mainstream media does. It basically is like a vampire basically sucking the life out of Black people. And a lot of us didn't really see it, but I started to see it when I saw the entire rap game get compromised from when it was controlled by Black men as a media platform to empower us, to we have these white supremacists looking to control it with the NWA. And that's how they basically hijacked that media and got us back on the road to believing stereotypes were the social norm.
Absolutely. You've hit that right on the head. And it's funny that you said that. I don't know if you had listened to this past Wednesday's Chris and Company, but I played a video. I mean, not a video, but I played audio of a gentleman at a TED Talk. This is a white gentleman at a TED Talk that literally talked about how the music industry, I'm talking about the owners of all of the radio, not radio, but owned all of the music, all of the music companies, okay? So Columbia Records, RCA, MCA, the owners, all right? And what they did was they came to a conclusion, a law, and I do believe our government had something to do with this too, to only push out gangster rap, push out anything of gutter rap, which back then I'm talking about Little Kim and Foxy Brown, and let that be the norm. If anybody remembers, back in the early to the mid 80s, all the way up to say the mid 90s. So I'll say from 85 to 95, there were rap groups and rappers that only talked about positivity. Remember these guys? Kid and Play, X Clan, Public Enemy to a certain degree, KRS-One. They did not get into the gutter rap. They didn't get into none of that. Another rap group, for you old school hip hop rap heads, the UMCs. I don't know if you remember those guys.
I remember those guys.
Also, yeah. Well, those guys, none of those groups, every single name that I just dropped, they did not talk about gutter rap. They didn't talk about bitches and hoes. They didn't talk none of that. By 1995, you didn't hear none of that no more. You didn't hear none of that no more. And I know this might sound crazy, but you know, you got to remember what was going on during this time. Between 92 and 95, Rodney King happened and OJ Simpson happened. And if you don't think those two things led to more gangster gutter rap down the line, yeah, well, I don't know what to tell you, except for connect the dots.
I connected the dots a long time ago, and the whole thing is they started seeing us promoting Black empowerment messages in our music. They started seeing us present positive messages in our music. And that's what we were getting when heterosexual Black men who cared about the community were producing rap music. I mean, I again remember guys like you said, X-Clan, Lakim Shabazz, and many others like Kid and Play, and many others who presented positivity. And like what Soul Survivor is talking about, he said poor righteous teachers, the Jungle Brothers, Black Sheep. I mean, all these musicians representing positive messages of Black people. And then that's something that white supremacy didn't want to see on their platforms. And that's why they basically changed the narrative of rap starting in 1989 with the NWA. The N-words with attitude, who I will call minstrels with attitude. And what they wanted to do is, like what Soul Survivor says in his super chat, Hollywood wanted to brainwash us by pouring symbolism that pours into the minds of Black youth. They wanted to change the programming because they saw the impact that the Cosby Show had on Black people to have them aspiring to go out here and build careers. They really saw the impact of a different world on Black children as related to them aspiring to go to college. And this is what the mainstream media didn't want, because what those in the mainstream media want is a smooth world where they see Black people at the bottom of the world, and they want to see their stereotypes about Black people like the ones they had in their minstrel shows back in the 30s. And they also wanted to see that progress into shows like Good Times, which basically was a bad time for Black people because that show was nothing but stereotypes, and would have been worse had Esther Roll and John Amos not really come in and stand up. I mean, they really wanted to put the show that they have on right now with Seth MacFarlane on the air. And again, that's the reason why I want folks to understand you just can't boycott this media, because boycott means you're still invested in it and you want it to change. But the white supremacist media isn't going to change. And you have to understand it's not going to change because this institution, this is the narratives they want on their platforms. And as I've stated for many years, those who control the money control the media, and those who control the media can control the narrative. And this is why I invest my money in the SJS Direct imprint to put out and publish the books that I produce, because I understand how media can influence you, because I was influenced by images like I saw on The Cosby Show and many of those shows during that golden age. So I understand the importance of media as related to Black people. And we have to stop thinking about we have to be a part of their entertainment industry and start building our own.
Most absolutely. Most absolutely. You know, that's why I don't have a complete YouTube channel on here, because it's not my priority. Personally, for business and personally, it's just not a top priority. Things have gotten better in the sense of progress is adding more content. Or like right now, I'm starting a second channel on www.niceradionetwork.com where people can listen to music. So I'm going to have neo soul. I'm also going to have jazz, and I'm going to have that on this channel. And I'm looking to have it up and running, up and running by June 1st. So and so, you know, at first I was just playing non-copyright music, but now I'm licensed. Because I'm licensed, I can now play copywritten music. So I'm going to implement that. The channel is down right now. I'm going to implement that, and I'm going to give people a variety, not just only listen to Chris and Company and company commentaries. You can also be able to listen to music if that's what you want. But the thing is that you the listener are not beholden to just only go to Twitter, not just only going to Facebook, not just only going to YouTube, not just only going to TikTok. Hell, TikTok probably won't even be around by the end of this year, and I hope they go out of business. It makes no difference to me. But the rest of these
show.
But you know, the rest of these other white supremacist social media concentration camps, every single person here on YouTube, you're not obligated to be on these platforms. And the one little thing I disagreed with Professor Black Truth, where he said, well, where he said the reason why he doesn't have his own website. His answer was, well, YouTube is where people are. Well, yes and no. They are where people. YouTube is where people are, but that doesn't mean that's the end all be all. If you like what I'm saying, if you like what I'm talking about, if you like the music that I'm going to be playing on the other channel, guess what? You'll come over. You'll come over and check it out. Sean, if you were to just leave YouTube and you got SeanJames.com and you promote it and you push it and you push it and you promote it, they will come. You know why? Because people like what you have to say. And if you don't believe in yourself, I don't believe in myself on my listenership coming over to my website, then that's a me problem. If I don't show the confidence that yes, that computer robots and Juan Buchanan and some of these other people that listen to both of us, then that's a me problem. I have to be confident that yes, on www.niceradionetwork.com, they will come. And so, I don't um I have no doubt in my mind that there are a lot of black people, there are a lot of black folks and others that want to come to something different. They want to see something different. They want to hear something different. And it doesn't have to be the Instagrams and the Twitters and the Facebooks and so on and so on. Think about it this way, right, Sean? There's McDonald's, right? But then there's a food truck, and let's say we'll call it Williams Food Truck, right? Well, guess what? Williams Food Truck has just as good as food as McDonald's, but William has to be confident that people will like his food. He got to put energy and time into his product for people to want to have the confidence to eat his food. And guess what? Next thing you know, some of those McDonald's customers can now be Williams customers on his little local food truck. You have to believe in yourself. You have to be confident in what you're doing. But if you sit around and absolutely do nothing, that's far worse. That's far worse than putting something together. And it may take time to get people to garner that traffic over to your site. No.
Yeah. I want to thank Soul Survivor for the second super chat. He says this is what we definitely need, brother Chris. And I have to agree with him on that point. And yeah, congratulations on you being able to expand your platform to be able to do copyrighted music. That's a major impact as related to the overall business of getting us away from these mainstream media platforms. This is a place where the new musicians can go out here and get their music discovered. That's a major thing as related to your radio platform, because that's how we find new musicians. That's how we actually got the rap business going. It was black-owned radio stations like WBLS here. That's one of the reasons that we got rap music popular, and 98.7 KISS when it was around. So we've always been the voices as related to our platforms. And again, it was black-owned platforms that got the message out as related to our media in most cases. Now, when it comes to black media, again, we have to have that, like you said, confidence to go out here. This is one of the reasons why I went out here and started the SJS Direct imprint back in 2009, because for years I thought, I could go through these legitimate mainstream media platforms, but those, again, platforms were never really ones that focused on us or focused on messages that were meant to uplift and empower us. That's something I ran into. I spent like about a good from 1998 to about 2005 just sending out queries to just about everyone, and I spent lots of money that I basically wasted thinking that I could go out here and get on these platforms on merit by presenting positive images of black people and positive stories of black people. And I kept scratching my head wondering why I was getting rejected. And I soon found out about 15, 20 years later, the reason why they were rejecting my books wasn't because of the quality of the writing. No, it was because the books didn't fit the narratives that white supremacy wants for black people. Because when it comes to white supremacy, again, on these platforms, they don't really want you to see empowering messages. And I started to see observations of this. I was talking to one of my family members at the bus stop, and I looked at the black literary canon, and I was saying, this black literary canon always has black people failing, always has black people losing, always has black people dying. And I always wondered, why do we keep getting these kinds of books? And this was back about 2004, 2005, when my family member and I were at the bus stop. And I said that thing. I said, why is it we never see the black person win in any of their media? And that was always a head scratcher for me. But then as I got older, I realized the reason why you never saw the black person win is because that black literature wasn't for empowering black people. It was all about promoting white supremacy's ideas about black people. And that's how that literature we learned from these so-called canon black authors basically was just us getting anti-black racism with a black face on it. And that's what they want on their platforms. Have these black people, again, passively representing black as related to literature, but promoting anti-black messaging to you as a child. And that's the kind of toxic media that's out here. And again, that's why we can't talk about representing on these platforms, because these platforms don't want to represent the best of us. No, that's what they don't want us to do. And we have to have that confidence to go out here and put our media on our own media platforms, because that's the only way we're going to be able to see images that empower us. Now, when it comes to that, you have to have confidence to take your books and media out there, and you have to have that courage to go out here. That's something I had to have as related to things way back, even before I got my out here. I mean, I took $200 of the last $600 that I had from AmeriCorps after I bought my laptop and was looking for a job, and then 9/11 happened. I was still out here looking to make that accomplishment, and I realized I couldn't do it on a mainstream platform. And then I just published the first ISIS in 2002. Then in 2008, when I got my job at City College, I realized that I can't do this on mainstream media platforms, because they only want to see black women and black men being failures. And I've got a story talking about a recipe for success. So you're not going to be able to put that on a mainstream media platform. No, you're not going to be able to do that. And you just have to have the courage to go out here and put your stuff out there. And you may not get the big audience, but you can go out here and do it. And the whole thing is, if you build it like you said, and then what I heard from Brother of Logic and Common Sense many years ago, he said, if you build it, they will come. And you just have to continue persevering and give them that space to come too.
Almost absolutely. I remember I had a divot head on my broadcast years ago. Talk about, well, just because you build it, that don't mean they're gonna come. I said, you only you think that, and only you can go to bed at night with that idiocy. I know otherwise. See, here's the thing. I've been doing this. I've been doing internet broadcasting, internet digital media, because that's what it really is. I've been doing digital media since 2009. And I before that, I did a 2-year internship. And my mentor, you've met him, Sean.
Yeah.
He took me under his wing, and he taught me how to do this. And one of the reasons, the number one reason why he taught me, he said I had the personality. I had the personality that when I speak, I can galvanize people. And that's what, and that's is more, that's what's important, because there are a lot of us out here, Sean. They can't talk like you and I can talk. They can't speak like you and I can speak. And if we can, and if we can give people who look like us something to be motivated by, something where, oh my gosh, I got to go into this job and I got to deal with this a-hole boss. I got a-hole co-workers, but I need this money to support myself and my family. If we can get through to them then it's what we're doing. It's what we're set out. You know, I'm not a religious guy at all, but I like to think that this we're setting out to do karma's work. We're setting out to do what the universe has guided us to do. And you know, I eat this, I live this, I sleep this, I do this 24/7. There have been so many people who there's been people who've come in and said, "Wow, Chris, I want to just come in and do what you can do." I'm like, hey, go for it. Hey, go for it. Then they realize, oh wow, I just don't have the kind of time to really put that, you know, put that energy in for a show. I said, well, welcome to my world. You've got to, this is something that you have to digest, something that you have to take in. Guys like Professor Black Truth, Jason Black, Tariq Nasheed, Kid Gravity, Torian Rain, Sean James. This is not, you don't play this. This is not something that you play with like a video game or you play with your Tonka toys. If this is something that you're doing, you're dedicated to it. You're committed to it. It's like you're doing this like you take your next breath. And I do this like I take my next breath. So when I'm on here talking here on the Friday night barbecue, I'm not wasting Sean's time. I'm not wasting any of you good people's time that are listening, because for a couple of things. Number one, you don't have to be listening to us tonight. Without you guys, there is no Friday night barbecue. Let's get that on point. Number two, the messages that Sean and I are talking about tonight are messages that not only for us Generation X, to a Generation X guys, but all the other younger generations, the millennials, the Gen Z, the things that the older generation, the baby boomers, didn't tell us, couldn't tell us. That era of do as I say, not as I do, that bullshit doesn't work anymore. And now is a new day. Now is a new era. Don't let me get started on politics. One of the reasons why Biden is going to lose is he comes from that same do as I say, not as I do era, and that he's not to be questioned because he's in a position of authority. Well, wrong. We question authority. We attack truth to power. If you're not doing that, you're wasting time. And so, and also to juxtapose that over to what the topic is tonight, FBA need to walk away from Hollywood, and Hollywood can't help us even if they want to, because the very systemic structure that us FBA B1 content creators and producers talk about are the very same guys that cut the checks for Denzel Washington, Will Smith, Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg. Those guys can't come on and talk about, those guys can't come on and talk about how, you know, what we talk about here. They can't do it. Those checks get cut off so fast, it'll make your head spin.
All their money,
us.
Yeah. All their money comes from Hollywood.
Exactly. And Hollywood isn't woke. They're not woke. You know, just because one celebrity says something the way you and I talk about it, that doesn't make them, you know, that doesn't make them that they're on the side of the angels. Okay, so they had a little bit of an epiphany. Big whoop. I tell you what, have them, try to get them on a platform like mine or Sean, and see if they'll really tell it like it is. They're not gonna do it. when I was on when I did Chris and Company in my first run of Chris and Company was from 2009 to 2014. 2 of those years was on Blog Talk Radio. I had several celebrities on, and none of them was talking the way that I was talking. It was just like what Sean did. What I didn't know, just like Sean didn't know, that they couldn't talk the way those celebrities couldn't talk the way we talk because of the fact that, yeah, they're getting their money from the very same 1% oligarchy that we openly criticize. So yeah, they're not going to do that. One of the biggest disappointments in radio was Tom Joyner. And as I grew into my radio broadcasting and everything, he'll say a little bit of nugget of Black empowerment, but then he'll pull back. He never went on, and I would listen like, what are you doing, man? You got the platform. Say what really needs to be said. But he never would do that. And the whole time, what I figured out was the very same people that was cutting him those millions of dollars and all of that, and flying from Houston and flying back to Chicago and all of that, and the hardest working, whatever, blah, 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 were not Black people that was cutting him that check. It was the white boys. And saying it without directly saying it to him, and they pretty much told him, Negro, know your place, stay in your lane. Yeah, you can say some Black stuff here, Black stuff there, but don't cross that line. And he did that, and he quietly retired. That era is dead and gone now. I'm big. I wish I wish Spotify would call me, or iHeartRadio. I'm not going to change my language. I'm not changing my language. I'm not changing my words. I'm not changing nothing. Because you know why? I don't do this for the money. If you trying to talk about Black empowerment and you talking about reparations and the anti-Black hate crime bill and all of that, but you still got your hand out for a check from Westwood One or iHeart or your Spotify or anything, you are whistling Dixie. Good luck with that. You see what's already happening to Andrew Bussy Gillum and Angela Rye with lettuce and tomatoes on the side, and good old Tiffany, you Black men need to fall in line cross. You see what's happening? Their numbers, they're not getting the numbers at all, because they thought they was going to cross over into digital media, and they actually thought they was going to do some spectacular shit. They're doing nothing. They're doing absolutely nothing. Angela Rye is so besides herself now, she's crying. And I want to give a shout out to Kid Gravity. Go listen to his YouTube. You too, Sean. Go listen to his YouTube every so often, because it's just like what he said. The grift is over. The days of Candace Owens, Mark Lamont Schill, what is that other? Ta-Nehisi Coates, Roland Martin. The days of those coon goons, their day is almost done. And I'm telling you, the grift is almost over. You say, well, Uncle Chris, how is that going to be? I'm going to tell you why. These people, those grifters, Candace and Roland and Mark Lamont Clown and all of that, the Democratic Party are going to look at them and say, hey, you guys can't pull in nobody. You're not getting the numbers. We don't want you. They're not going to throw, in their minds, they're not going to throw good money after bad. Shows like Tiffany Cross Eyes and them, they're going to be non-existent. Charlemagne the Clown, Charlemagne the Coon, his relevance is going to be relegated to a toilet seat. They're through. And when they realize that these coon goons they can't get to the black grassroots community, then they're going to cut their money off. So get ready for it. Whether it's Trump or Biden, I'm not voting for neither one of those clowns. It's about to happen. The grift is going to be over. And speaking of Candace Owens, real quick, I cuss her out on Twitter every time I see this troglodyte, black white supremacist on my timeline. I humiliate her every chance I get. Now she's grifted over to being a Roman Catholic, Sean. You simply cannot make this up. So now she's trying to grift on a religious level. And that's how pathetically weak and pathetically disgusting these grifters have gotten. But since Candace Owens is the queen of coons, when she's the queen coon, she's the head grifter. That's what they're going to do. So all these grifters right now, they're scattering around like roaches when the lights cut on, and all the B1 new black media is doing is stepping on them and crushing them. But November 5th can't get here fast enough.
And that's where we're going to see how ineffective these bootlegs actually are. Now, these bootlegs have a role in Hollywood's media and mainstream media, and their job is to just go out here and sell the masses on the narrative of white supremacy to keep us codependent on their platforms. Because in order for them to have power, what they need to do is have us invested in their media. And if we invest in their media, what that does is show how much power and influence they have. Now, this media, again, it's toxic to us because if we invest in this media, all we're investing in is anti-black racism, and if we invest in that, we're investing in self-hatred because, again, this media was never designed to uplift you, never designed to elevate you, never designed to even inform you. No, what they want to do is get you on this plantation, being a slave to this media, buying into this programming, buying into ridiculous ideas like being a thug and a gangster, which was just a repackaging of the black brute and the coon, basically repackaging these types of stereotypes. And they want you on that plantation, continuing to vote blue no matter who, never thinking about taking your power as a black person. And that's, again, another reason why we have to walk away from these platforms, because these platforms never were about us or empowering us. Now, when it comes to these bootlegs like your Candace Owens and Angela Rye, they are basically upset at this point because new black media has basically changed the entire platform and changed the narrative to the point where we don't have people listening to this media anymore. People are not paying any attention. I know for myself, I don't really even watch TV anymore. I was a TV head back in the day. When I was a kid, I used to watch hours of television from 9 o'clock in the morning, watching I Love Lucy on Channel 5 here in New York, all the way to watching The Honeymooners at 11:30 at 12 o'clock at night. And that's what I did as a little kid. And as I started to get older and I started taking a look at this media critically, I started to see how a lot of it was very toxic, and especially when it came to media revolving around black people, whether it be these racist sitcoms like Different Strokes, which basically gave us a paternalistic slave narrative right in front of us, or the tokenization of Tootie on the facts of life, or these movies like The Color Purple, or books like Terry McMillan's Waiting to Exhale. That's where I said, okay, you cannot sit here and just protest this media. No, you got to do something about it. And that's one of the reasons why I've got the SJS Direct Imprint, because I know we've got to do something about it. You've got to offer people an alternative, and you've got to offer people an alternative so they won't get spellbound by this mainstream media. You've got to offer them an alternative like you're doing with the Chris and Company radio show, because that's the only way we're going to get the truth, because this media, again, if you invest in it, you're not going, it's just going to change you. You're not going to change it. And that's what a lot of black people in the black masses don't understand. Because, like Professor Black Truth has talked about, this media is mind control. It is programming. Because I've seen entire generations get lost, from Gen X to the millennials, get caught up in this whole thug and gangsta culture. I mean, we lost so many young brothers and sisters to this programming of these lies that basically were built on top of lies that were brought in from these covert agents who created these gangs. Again, all of this was meant to program an idea to get you to hate somebody who looks like you and to attack and kill somebody who looks like you over trivial things like sneakers that cost $4 to make in a Korean factory, or somebody just looking at you the wrong way. These same programming, again, programs you to fight another black man. But when it comes to a white man who comes to your neighborhood, you ain't got these same thugs and gangsters who are programmed by white supremacy, by this media, ain't got no backbone or stones to get in their face about them controlling their economy, controlling their politics. I mean, this is where we have a problem with a lot of these folks who have been spellbound, looking to fit into the black box that's acceptable to white people. And I talk about that in my novel, Spellbound. Again, you want to fit into that black box that's acceptable to white people. And part of that is because you've invested and imbibed this toxic media, this toxic and mainstream media that basically, again, pushes anti-black messages at you basically every day. And the only way out of the situation is you've got to turn off the TVs, turn off the movies, just walk away from the entire thing, because there's no changing it. There's no fixing it. There's no trying to get them to see you as a human being on these platforms, because on their platforms, again, it's not about elevating you. It's about making you be acceptable to white people. And that's what we see with these bootlicks and shills. They are all about trying to be accepted by white people, fitting into black boxes. And a lot of them are now crying because they don't have the influence anymore. And they know if they don't have the influence anymore, they ain't going to be able to get the jobs. That was shown to us with Roland Martin, because with Roland Martin, he basically, once he got the boot, he tried to come on YouTube with a Kufi and a dashiki, just bad comedy, and he wasn't really resonating, and he was just really upset, trying to get louder and more argumentative. And I believe Angela Rye is going to be doing the same thing after she's crying. We're going to see her with a natural and a dashiki. And same thing with Candace Owens. They're all looking to have a gimmick similar to a wrestler, looking to find some way to get over. But we already know who they are, and that's why nobody's going to care about them at all.
Exactly. Exactly. I will say this. I will say this. Now, for a lot of younger listeners right now, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, if you knew this was going on in the 80s and a little bit of the 90s, why didn't you guys do anything about it? At that time, we did not understand the narrative, and we did not have mediums where we could express ourselves about that. There was no internet in the 80s. And for the most part, there was no internet in the 90s. Definitely wasn't no internet broadcasting, whether it was internet radio or digital media. That didn't happen till the mid 2000s. So that's why that era was one where we didn't really get to understand the narratives. For me, though, I went to an all-white high school, and I realized then that those people were not going to change. The fighting, the stuff that I went through, the absolute racism from my high school, that my alma mater back in Mayfield, Ohio. I knew these were animals. I knew there were animals then. Now they're 50-something-year-old animals now. And so I knew they were going to change. Racism is a behavior. Racism is a behavior that has to be enabled in order for it to continue to flourish. So it's like what Professor Black Truth says. Racist white people love to tell jokes on black people that take time to develop. And when you realize, oh, the joke is on me, if the longer you don't figure it out, the more they're enjoying you not knowing the joke. That's how they are. It's in their nature. It's what they do. It's who they are. I have a slight different take on what you said about NWA, Sean, only because I don't think NWA knew that the things that they were saying were going to get to the level on what is going on today. I don't think that they saw like 30 years from the time they made Dope Man that entire rap generations were still going to be talking about bitches and hoes and all that stuff. So I don't think they saw that. Now we could be wrong, but I really don't think they saw that. It's so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I'll give those guys the benefit of the doubt. And maybe because they're Gen X brothers like you and I but at the same time, they don't deny their influence, right? So it's kind of like a double-edged sword, right? So here we are now. Here we are now. You with your print media business, me with my digital media business. We now have more influence. We have more underground digital media influence than NWA does. Yeah, they have mainstream influence. They have influence from the establishment's point of view. But if there was a drop of rap tomorrow, if there was a drop of rap song tomorrow, and you can go get it at your record store or you can get it on iTunes. Nobody's lining up to listen to them. Nobody's gonna be lining up to listen to them, except for those that from a brand perspective. NWA is still a brand, right? Okay, bet. All right. But now there's too many of us right going on right now that we're getting out the message. We don't want to hear that. We do not. We listen to rap music, we listen to hip hop, but we're not co-signing for or caping for Sexy Red or Ice Spice or Little Nas X. That's not my era. That's not real rap music. I want to hear a young man and a young woman talking about having some fun and spitting 16 bars and not talking about no street shit. Something positive. Rap about the Tulsa massacre and how how that has galvanized B1 content creators and producers to make sure that none of us never forget what happened in Tulsa, what happened in Rosewood, what happened in Raleigh, Durham. All right. So if that's what I want to hear, rap and hip hop moving forward. And there are a lot of rappers out there that can really do some smooth get down rap, but the media moguls aren't going to back it. So guess what? If you are a rapper, if you are a hip hop artist and you want to take off without talking about hoes and bitches and guns and all of that, you're going to have to be your own producer. You're going to have to learn how to be your own sound engineer. And with all the computer equipment now, with laptops, with now sound cards and video cards in it, you can do your own work. But you gotta want it. You gotta want it. Like I want what I'm doing right now at 8:05 p.m. Pacific time. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm happy doing. And I know that I'm making a difference, just like Sean is making a difference. But you got to be about the work, period, point blank.
Yeah, we have to be about the work. And I have been about the work since 1992 when I was 18 years old. I mean, I was coming out, just about to come out of high school, and I dedicated myself to creating positive stories about Black people because I saw the bigger picture of that media. Now, as a Gen Xer at 18 years old, I was just about to I had to spend a fifth year in high school. And while I was aware of what was going on as related to this media, because I remember watching an Oprah Winfrey episode where they were talking about Boys in the Hood, and they basically changed the entire narrative of John Singleton's masterpiece, which was about a father preparing his son so that he would understand the subtle politics of what was going on in Los Angeles, to a narrative about it being about gangsters and street hoods. And they basically changed the entire narrative of John Singleton's film, and I made it where a lot of people missed the message. And that's where I started to see how things were turning as related to the entire face of media. Back in 1992, I saw what Bill Cosby was trying to do as related to trying to rebuild the Black image to inspire people. But I saw how Hollywood was looking to change that narrative. And again, I was only 18 years old at the time, just trying to get out of high school. And while I didn't have the money then, I was always focused on trying to make those positive stories and try to carry on with the legacy of Bill Cosby. Now, I wasn't able to really get the money to do what I wanted to do. And I really didn't have that understanding of publishing until I got into my 30s. But I always knew what was wrong and what was going to go wrong. And I understood that because it was like, I looked at that media, I said, I see where this is going. I see we're going back to these stereotypes. And sadly, by about 2001, the Oscars basically cemented this by mainstreaming the Jezebel with Halle Berry's Oscar win, which mainstreamed the Jezebel in a generation of Black girls' minds. And Denzel Washington's Oscar win as a brute in Training Day basically just cemented us going back to these old hood stereotypes. Now, what white supremacy
the same thing where they put their focus on the Jezebels. Absolutely.
Yeah, but with white supremacy, they play the long game. They play a chess game with people. And guys like Ice Cube back in his 20s, again, they find the naive Black guys to go push their messages. And a lot of them thought because, oh, it's like Ice-T with hardcore rap or just Ice. They didn't really understand that Ice-T, when he was rapping about the streets, he was doing it hardcore. And hardcore was really telling you about what was going on. But he didn't understand that they would use this to push anti-Black narratives. Now, Ice-T with New Jack City, he understood what was going on with Mario Van Peebles' film. He was a bit more aware than the NWA. And what happens is what white supremacy loves to do is find a dupe to push their agendas. And in many cases, they find the dupe and have them push the narratives that they want. And those guys thinking, oh, I'm coming up. And then what happens is as they come up, they think they're going to be big. But the whole thing is white supremacy is setting those guys up for the long punchline. And what happens is these guys, they think, oh, I'm being allowed in. I'm allowed to be accepted. And in some cases, you get guys like Diddy and Dr. Dre who turn into bootlicks and make compromises with white supremacy.
Diddy's
and
a scumbag. He's dead to me.
He's just garbage. But the whole thing is they made compromises with white supremacy. They wanted to get the money. They didn't care about Black people. They didn't care about empowering Black people. As long as they got their slice of cornbread or their extra butter biscuit, they were fine. But the whole thing is they were not about Black empowerment. No, they were looking to make compromises with white supremacy. And that's what we've got another problem with as related to these Hollywood and entertainment platforms. They love to push they love to find Black people who are naive or gullible to take advantage of, or people willing to compromise in order to think they can climb the ladder. So these are the kind of people who really they continue to make sure that these messages continue to go on. And that's the big problem with a lot of these guys who are Black as a part of the mainstream media. A lot of them, they want to make those compromises and get in with these folks. They want to get in with these folks thinking that they're going to be able to advance themselves. but there's no way you can advance in the system of white supremacy. And many of the bootlicks like a Halle Berry are finding out that the hard way. I mean, she's 20 years after she said, oh, we were going to kick down doors with her Oscar win for degrading herself in Monsters Ball. We find 20 years later, she ain't gone that far. And she didn't go that far because she couldn't see the punchline of the cruel joke that was being played on her. She was a beautiful woman who was basically doing well with black men and black audiences. She could have had a career similar to that of women like Audrey Hepburn, and she stayed with black films, but she wanted to go mainstream. And when she went mainstream, she got turned out like many others, from Josephine Baker to Dorothy Dandridge to Lisa Bonet to Pam Grier. I mean, that's what Hollywood does to black women. They don't want to elevate the black female image. They don't want to elevate the black male image. Yes, they'll give you an award passively for your performances, but aggressively what they do is push their agendas. And again, their agendas are anti-black. And that's why you just can't sit there and say, oh, I want to boycott an individual. I want to boycott a movie. No, you got to pull yourself out of this whole media. You've got to pull your footprint back. And that's what I learned over the last 30 years. I mean, over the last 30 plus years that I've been on this earth, and God has given me this time in life. I mean, I learned that you just can't sit there and hope to make this thing change. No, it's not going to change at all. And the only thing you can do to change is change the way you deal with these businesses as related to the entertainment industry, because the entertainment industry ain't about entertaining you. No, it's about entertaining white supremacists and giving them the laugh that they want as related to the punchline, the cruel joke that they always want to play on black people.
Sean, I would listen. I have absolutely no problem. If I see a black exploitation today, I'd watch that over this hot garbage that's being put out now. I most certainly would. At least in a black exploitation movie, right? There's going to be a happy ending where the main black character, black woman or black man, start to finish, is going to have a happy ending. A good outcome is going to come. You're going to see black empowerment on the movie screen. I'm all for it. Bring back the black exploitation movies. At least if I see someone who looks like me and they show masculinity and they show femininity and the outcome is going to be a good outcome, damn it, I'm all for it. I most certainly am. I say bring them back. Tyler Perry, you got a studio. What are you doing? You need to be bringing them back, black exploitation movies. In fact, Mario Van Peebles, he made one. I don't recall watching it. I think it's called Badass. I think he made a remake of what his dad made.
Well, he made a historical film talking about the work he had to put in to get that film made. Because Mario Van Peebles was paying a homage to his father, he just realized he couldn't do anything in the studios. I mean, he had made a film called Watermelon Man with the studios, and then he realized, they're not going to make those films about feature black masculinity, black love. He couldn't make it with those studios, so he had to go out here and finance it on his own, and he really struggled and suffered to get that film. He reminded me a lot of myself about how you have to, again, make sacrifices, save your money, and just try to put everything together on a shoestring, because that's what he did to get that film made, and he even struggled to get that film distributed. And he did that outside of Hollywood. That's what people don't understand. Many of the media that really empowered us was done outside of these institutions. I mean, when I look at Spike Lee and Robert Townsend, Hollywood Shuffle, and I look at Spike Lee's She's Gotta Have It, those films were financed with credit cards. They were financed with outside money. And even with the start of Milestone Comics, again, that was done with outside money. Anything that was presenting a positive image of us was usually made outside of these platforms. And that's why FBA, we really have to walk away from these platforms, because these platforms never want to invest in us and at us being our best. No, they always want to invest in seeing us as failures, because the only way we can get to see ourselves win is if we create the media. That's what I do here on the SJS Direct imprint. I mean, in every SJS Direct book, you see the black person winning, you see the black person having success. And again, that has an impact on your perception of self, because when you see media of you and people like you winning, it builds your confidence. When you see people like you being the center of the story, it really has an impact on you. When you see this type of media, it really changes your perception of self, and you start to see yourself as somebody who can go out here and achieve. That's why new black media is very important. It can transform the way you see yourself, because I remember as a kid growing up in the 80s as a Gen Xer, seeing The Cosby Show and seeing things like Hollywood Shuffle. And again, it basically shaped the way I saw myself. And I understand this, and this is why I try to build on that momentum with the SJS Direct imprint, because again, I saw the bigger picture of black media. And while I tried to go through the mainstream, and that was a big mistake that I made many years ago. I mean, I tried to start submitting books back in the 90s, like 98. I started the first John Haynes, tried to send in ISIS. That book basically got vehemently rejected. The Recipe for Success got some hits, but then they didn't like the idea of a black alphabet man being perceived as a bad guy. And some of them didn't like the idea of two black-owned businesses making a business deal. I mean, these white females who control the publishing industry, they really are like gatekeepers. They want to push these anti-black narratives. And again, they're the reason why we got all these books with the black woman who's single, successful, well-educated, can't get a man, from Terry McMillan, because they don't want you to see a black woman having a successful relationship with a good brother. And this is why, again, FBA, we have to create our own platforms.
But that's why Terry McMillan is at home by herself and her cats.
Yeah.
Because she listened to that Oprah hot garbage, and she find herself humiliated and embarrassed and alone. So it sucks to be her. She lost her soul. And no real black man with character and high value would deal with her on any level. Let me tell you something. Terry McMillan is such wasted talent scum. If she was to give a high value black man such as myself a glass of water, he wouldn't take it. I know, and I know I wouldn't. So that's how low she is. I want to get to this gentleman in the chat room, Soul Survivor. Yeah, you know what? He said Bill Cosby helped to financially back Melvin Van Peebles' film Sweetback's Badass. Yeah, that's cool. But you know what? Bill Cosby needs to be supporting us. He needs to cut a check for the new black media. All right. Guys like you and I, Tariq, Torian, he needs to be cutting checks for us. If he was smart, he'd do that. Because you know why? Then we would have even more resources. We would have the resources and I want to say equipment, but for me, more software, more technical software, right? Where we can really take it to mainstream media. That's what he should be doing. If you know, since he wants to talk about, well, the black media is going to, because clearly if he's talking about the mayonnaise maggot white supremacist media, with Charlemagne the Clown and Sunny Host, I have no problem with Sunny Hostin. I think she needs her own program. She needs to really come over to the new B1 Black Media for real, because I like what she says. But for the most part, please, for the most part, she keeps it. She comes up to the line and then pulls back because she know ABC will stop cutting her check. But yeah, that's what he needs to be doing. Guys like him. But for men like you and I, like I said, we do this every single day, Sean. And I know I'm not fit for everyone. But what I'm doing in the greater Phoenix area, because I live outside of Phoenix, Arizona, I am networking with black businesses. I'm talking to Black businesses, as I'm adding more content to niceradionetwork.com. That's my core demographic. I am focused on networking and building and forging relationships with Black owned businesses that they can't afford to advertise on terrestrial TV, where they charge three, four, five, as much as $5,000 for uh a 8 to 10 o'clock prime slot. People don't have that kind of money anymore. I can advertise with Black owned businesses that digital media is much cheaper. I can, I can, for instance, for 6 months of commercials and promotion, $500. You can't beat that. That's that's around $60 a month. You, well, a little bit more than that, but more like around $80 a month. That covers advertising on the website. That covers advertising on Chris and Company. That covers advertising on the music channel that's going to be up and running next week. You're going to get more bang for your buck broadcasting on www.niceradionetwork.com than to be screwing off on an ABC or NBC affiliate, and you're trying to broadcast your product on those channels, and they're charging you $5,000-$6,000 for a 30-second slot. And when I say $5,000-$6,000, we're talking about your commercial being run maybe 2-3 times a night tops. There's no advertising
at bad hours, 2 a.m.
Exactly. So yes, that's my target. Now, will I do business with a white company? Sure, as long as they don't tell me how to run my business. Well, we know what you say on Chris and Company, and if you would just like change the language, no, I'm gonna tell you to kiss my black ass and leave. That's what I'm gonna tell you. I don't change my language. I don't change who I am, because like I said before, what I talk about on Chris and Company, the topic and subject matter that you and I are talking about, Sean, it's serious out here. We're not playing, we're not horsing around. We are talking to people who are taking this conversation seriously, because it's real out here. Oh, you think that if Biden stays in office or Trump's going to stay in office, that things are going to get better? It's only going to get worse. And what Sean and I is telling folks out here right now is that either we Black folks collectively start becoming more politically literate, be more politically sound, you're gonna be left behind. You're gonna be left behind. So, and we don't want that. We need as many people listening to us, going to my website, listening to Sean on a regular basis. As many people as we can. We can't do this without you guys. So, I can't be more passionate, I don't think, on how important we do these Friday night barbecues, sir.
Yeah. I mean, I think about what it was said about Bill Cosby and his investment into Sweet Sweetback. I mean, if I had that kind of investment, I mean, it could revolutionize SJS Direct, because with that type of infusion of cash, I could basically start going from just producing novels to producing the comic books and graphic novels I had planned. I mean, right now I have 2 comic scripts for ISIS that are basically sitting there because I just don't have the money to pay the artist or the letterers to be able to get those projects to the ground, like I did with John Haynes at Death's Door. I mean, this book, basically, I planned this book, again, over a year. I couldn't even I had to save all the money up over time. I had to save all those cash apps and super chats because I didn't have a full-time job. But I eventually managed to get this book out with the help of Kevin Greavu, the creator of Blue Marvel. He gave me some advice to help me get this book out. And I wanted to get out here and get a sophomore book out, and I'm saving money to try to do that. But if I had that kind of money, I could expand SJS Direct. And SJS Direct is important because it's about our image. Again, I'm creating books and media that show us in a positive light. I mean, with Amari's Revenge, if you look at this cover, again, you don't get to see Black people looking like this on media. You don't get to see covers like this with the John Haynes Illuminati. This was a homage that one of my viewers, Chris Crazy House, asked me to do a homage to the 1988 movie Action Jackson, and I put my own take on it with Mike Williams. And again, you're not going to get this media on platforms like this Isis Dark Incubus cover. Again, images that show you Black people looking strong, looking masculine, women looking feminism. I mean, not feminism, feminine. Women looking beautiful. Again, they don't put those images in their media. And again, I could go out here and put more images out there. Moreover, I could go out here and finally hire somebody to do some editing that would take a load off me. And I wouldn't have to be so stressed because I try to get 3 books out in a year and I have to do everything myself. And I could also do things like improve the interiors because with the new book I'm doing, Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer, I was planning on putting in some more art in the interiors. And I could do a lot more, again, with that kind of cash infusion. That's why I'm asking people to, again, support the SJS Direct Imprint, whether you're buying books or you're dropping a Cash App donation or a PayPal donation. Again, I have been doing this from the grassroots ever since about 2009, and I've been out here continuing to do this. And again, when it comes to our media, we're the ones who are making the media, trying to make the media that will help you. And again, a lot of times with us, we have to understand that many of the people, we do this out of our own money and our own time and put all of our hours into this. I mean, that's what happens with this media. Again, it takes time to build. And a lot of people, they go to the mainstream media thinking, oh, this is what it's meant for us. No, that was never meant for you. It was meant to give white racists and white supremacists their view of Black people. And it was also designed to present us in the worst light. So this is why we need to invest in new Black media. I mean, a lot of us, we don't think about investing in our media. I mean, again, if I had that type of money that Bill Cosby had, I could be able to do a lot more. If I had, again, that kind of support, I could do a lot more. I mean, I look at people, again, we don't really put that support in, and we really need to go out here and put that support in if we want to take new Black media to the next level.
Oh, most absolutely. Look, with Bill Cosby's money, all I need is half of 1%. That's all I need. Half of 1%. You know what I could do that? I could make a Chris and Company app. I can make a nice radio app. I can expand the website overnight and pay people to make it happen. I'm telling you, that's all I need. And all I would need is half of 1% of Bill Cosby's money. I don't even need 1% of his money. If whatever his 1% is, cut that in half. I got this. I got this. I built my studio. This is my second run of building my studio. And during COVID, there was no one making cases until I had to do research. And there was a guy out in California. He was the only one in the country that was building cases for my equipment. Wow. Y'all want to hear dedication? All right, I'm about to tell y'all dedication. I am in the outskirts of Phoenix, Arizona. All right. This gentleman was based out of Hesperia, California. Right out, that's in San Bernardino County. I think it's in San Bernardino County, but I know San Bernardino was really close. That was literally a 4.5 drive going one way. That's just one way. And then turn around and come right back to Arizona. It was an overall 12-hour trek because you stop, you got to put gas in the car, bathroom, you get hungry. And so with all of that, it was a 12-hour trek. And the casing cost me $2,000. That's commitment, folks. That's dedication, folks. I am not to be played with when it comes to this. I put the time and the energy into this. And that was during, like I said, that was during COVID. Then I had to fly back to Cleveland to pick up one of my servers because of the bad weather in Cleveland. And I didn't want to leave nothing for chance. So he was like, okay. So my guy who took care of my computer for me, he was like, no, I don't want to mail it off. Then something goes wrong and then you're going to blame me. Okay, fine. I had to fly back to Cleveland. I went and I took care of. Yes, I had to buy a round trip ticket. This is commitment, folks. This is commitment. So anybody got any ideas of being black first, and they've got these ideas that they want Tom Joyner numbers, they're not in it. They're not real B1. B1 is about saying what you mean what you say. You're getting it out of the mud. You're doing this the hard way.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing for the last couple of years. I mean, I've been doing it the hard way. I mean, when I lost my job in 2008, I have been just following God and when he told me to keep going. And I had to make some sacrifices because I wanted to get a quality cover on my 4th or 5th ISIS series book, ISIS Wrath of the Cyber Goddess. And I had to sell many of the collectibles that you guys see up on there displayed. I had to sell a lot of that stuff in order to be able to pay for that first cover. And that's the type of sacrifice that I made as related to, again, being a part of New Black Media. So that's the kind of sacrifice that we make out here all the time. Now, I want to take a minute to address something Nightingale Wednesday Nightmare has made as a comment. She said that she noticed over the past couple of years that some people take issue when seeing a positive image of a black person, whether it be a book, a comic book, or independent media. That's what I've seen out here myself. I mean, whenever I put a poster of an ISIS cover or Esteem cover or John Haynes cover, instead of appreciating the black image that's positive, what these people do is get defensive. They go into straw man arguments about light skin and dark skin as a way to make an excuse not to support that product, because what they really want to do is find their way out of supporting that product because it comes from a black man. And if it came from a white man, they'd have no problem with it. That's why you see these people taking that issue as related to things. And again, they don't really appreciate the hard work and sacrifice that goes into independent media that presents a positive image of black people. Because a lot of people, again, like I talk about in my novel, Spellbound, are looking to fit into that black box that's acceptable to white people. They're looking to try to be fitting into a white world. And they want to buy the images of black people made by white people. I mean, I saw this with the 2018 Black Panther movie. I mean, we saw no promotion of independent black fantasy products at all from Disney or support of those products. No, they went out here, took that over $1 billion they got in 2018 and just left the black community. That's what we saw with things. And again, a lot of people don't see the sacrifice and hard work that guys like Mr. Chris and I do, and many others like that are out here producing independent black content. They don't really see that hard work and sacrifice that goes. I mean, a lot of with these comic books that I produced, again, these pages cost money. The covers cost money. And even with the books, the editing takes a lot of work. A lot of people don't understand how much work goes into a project, and they don't understand what sacrifice is made with those projects, and they don't understand the work that we do behind the scenes. Again, I sold a lot of stuff. I was down. I was really, again, hoping I would be able to get another job so I could do more different projects, but I had to make that kind of sacrifice. And you have people saying, oh, and at the end of the day, you get all of this disrespect. That's the whole sad part about everything. You put all this work in, and you don't get that respect. But meanwhile, somebody can come from mainstream media like Tyler Perry or Lee Daniels, or even one of these bootlicks like Eric July can come to your community, and they'll be out here. The sad part is you see a lot of black folks running up to that media. Media, again, designed not to empower you or present you in a positive light. And that's the whole sad part about everything. But you have to persevere. And I've had to persevere over the years. I mean, it's been 15 years since I lost my job, but I'm still persevering because I understand how important that things are. And Computer Robots makes a good point. Yeah, I understand that when people were upset about that Godbreaker cover, they hated that image because it was presenting an image of a black man taking power. But in order for us to empower ourselves, we need more images like that of black people taking power. I mean, that's what really gets people upset. They don't like seeing us taking power as related to our media, because what's happening is we're programming our minds with images of ourselves that say we are smart, we are powerful, we are intelligent. That's what they don't want you to see. And that's why they had a beef with Bill Cosby. That's why they've got a beef with new black media. But we need more of this media because that mainstream media is too toxic for us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I don't even waste my time looking to network with white owned businesses. I'm not even going to waste my time. Listen, all they got to do is go into the archive page, listen to one of my Chris and Company episodes. Oh, yeah, somebody's going to be offended. And I don't care. I don't have time. And even if I did have the time, I'll be the first one to tell you, no, Chris and Company is not for you because you're not built with the spine in your back like I am. And if those are the type of brothers and sisters that I'm reaching out to, when it comes to racism, I don't care what the others think. I don't care what the others feel. In fact, my my total focus politically is about reparations for us black families that can tie our lineage to the slavery South, and an anti-black hate crime bill. Full stop. I don't want to hear about nothing else. I don't want to hear about abortion. I don't want to hear about other foolishness like the environment. And I sure as hell don't want to hear about Gaza. I don't want to hear nothing about it. Not our problem, not our issue. And if we can't take care of business home, why in the holy hell do should black folks stick their nose in business over there in Gaza and it has absolutely nothing to do with us? Let me give you guys a little bit of history. First of all, the Israelites and the Palestinians, they're fighting over land that does not belong to neither one of them. You know who the land belongs to? It belongs to the Ethiopian Jews, okay? Settlers of Ethiopia were there before anyone and anybody. And when the start of Judaism in that part of the country, in that part of the world happened, the black man and black woman were there first. All right. So and 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 the cradle of civilization started in Africa. So first of all, they're fighting over land that doesn't belong to one of them. Number one. Number two, let's talk about Palestine and let's talk about Gaza. This is the only amount of time I'm going to give them to these two right now. Okay, but listen to what I'm going to say. All right, you can Google this, or you can look on YouTube. The Palestinians treat black Palestinians like shit. They've said it. They have said it on YouTube, on other YouTube channels. And black Israelis, they get treated like shit from from your standard. Oh, don't criticize us Israelis or you're going to be an anti-Semite type of Israelites over there, they can't even stand the black Israelites over there. What more proof? All right, I'll give you more proof. There's an Ethiopian Jew in Israel right now, and she wanted to claim her Israeli citizenship. One of the things she had to do to become an Israeli Jew, she had to get herself sterilized. Look it up. You think I care about what goes on over there? Let the animals wipe each other out. Because when it comes to compassion, I'm fresh out. I have compassion for Roger Fortson. Want to have compassion for somebody? Have compassion for a fellow black veteran like myself. I served in the United States Marine Corps. This young man was serving in the Air Force, United States Air Force, and he was killed and gunned down in his home by a dirty cop. And then the mayonnaise maggot mainstream mafia media did not have the guts to release that police officer's name. And to this day, we still don't know that police officer's name.
You're covering for him.
Exactly. And we should care about Gaza. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you folks something. Anytime you don't take care of home, home is going to take care of you. And if you don't take care of home, you ain't going to be able to take care of anything else. And this is what we in the B1 diaspora, in the B1 media diaspora, really, really need to focus about. And in fact, you want to hear something else more disgusting, Sean? Check this out. That BS bullcrap speech that President Alzheimer's disease Biden spoke at Morehouse, okay? As soon as he made that speech, in one hand, guess what Congress did? Congress approved of $1 billion to be sent over to the Middle East, just like that.
Meanwhile, Biden cut the funding for Morehouse.
Don't send no money. Don't send that $1 billion to Morehouse. You know, the college that gave him an honorary degree. An honorary degree. See, this is why B1 Black Media, you have to support us because it's straight, no chaser. Tell it like it is. And I tell you what, it's just like what Kid Gravity says on his show. Tell me when I'm telling lies. Everything that I just said, tell me when I'm telling lies. This is real. And so I don't want to hear, I don't talk about Gaza, Middle East. It's not even a footnote to me. We need to concentrate for us, on us, because nobody else is going to do it. The days of looking for somebody to say something good about the black community and have them, that's over with. See, the whole thing of Biden not being able to get back in office in November and Democratic shields are getting scared that black folks like you and I aren't voting for President Alzheimer's disease come November. It's simply because they will lose relevance. That's why. They will lose relevance. And if they lose relevance, that means more eyes, more ears are coming our way. Right now on the Nice Radio Network, I've already closed in on 10,000 listeners on the Chris and Company radio show, and we're only halfway through this year.
Wow.
Yes, I'm not playing. So it's working. It is working. And if I can be an influence to you, anyone else in the B1 media circle, I am all for it. Because here's another thing that I want to get to that's very, very important, Sean. You know why I collaborate with you, Sean? The reason why I collaborate with you is because you are a Generation Xer, just like me. You have your own business, just like me. And two voices are better than one. And I'm trying to collaborate with everyone. I'm trying to collaborate with Tariq Nasheed. I'm trying to collaborate with Jason Black. I'm trying to collaborate with Professor Black Truth. I've already collaborated with Torian Rain and Kid Gravity. Hey, folks, and here's the thing. Everybody that's in this chat room right now, everybody that can hear the sound of my voice, please, anyone who rocks with the B1 New Black Media, don't be afraid to send them my way. I'm looking to collaborate. The strength in numbers. Listen, I used to be in the military, and one of the things that the military always teaches us is strength in numbers. You don't have to agree with everything identical. But if everyone that you connect with has the common denominator of Black empowerment, reparations, an anti-Black hate crime bill, you can do big things, regardless of numbers. But you got to do it. You got to step out there. Listen, Tariq Nasheed, come. Hey, let's collaborate, man. Hey, Jason Black, let's collaborate, man. Listen, you got to, I need your help. You, Sean, everyone who's listening to you on your YouTube channel right now, I'm looking to collaborate, be a guest on Chris and Company. Hey, you and I, hey, if I, hey, Sean, hey, I'm able to get Kid Gravity to come on to the Friday night barbecue. I know I know beyond a shadow of a doubt you wouldn't mind that. The more voices, the stronger our voice collectively. But somebody's got to do it. And hey, if it's me, then damn it, I'll do it. But I'm looking to collaborate. We all need to know that we're out here so that other people, that other Black folks that can't talk the way we talk, know that we're here, know that we arrived, know that yeah, they've worked a hard day all week and they deal with a white racist boss or a Black boss that's an absolute coon, and they need to come somewhere where they can escape or at least us be an influence for maybe what we could do to help them. But if we don't get out there, if we just stick to our bubbles, just the Sean James show, just the Chris and Company radio show, if we don't interact with one another and collaborate, guess what? We're no different than the enemy. We have to come together, all digital Black owned and operated media of the B1 diaspora need to come together. Philip Scott, I want to network with you, man. I'm looking to network with it, but I can't do it all the time. I need your help out there. Everybody in the chat room, can I count on y'all to help get me out there and say, hey, have this brother on your show? Because it ain't just about me, or they can come on to mine. I don't care. It's about collaboration. It's about coming together as New Black Media.
Yeah, we have to come together, and that's one of the things that's important. That's why I've been doing a lot of collaborations. I mean, I collaborate with a lot of people, and I just can engage with those people because they really want to work with me. And again, we need that because when we have, like you said, more voices in New Black Media speaking out, it basically makes it where our voices create the counter narrative to all of the anti-Black media. And that's why it's important for all of us to come together, because one voice is strong, but multiple voices are stronger. And the more voices that are out there speaking against most of this mainstream media and its narratives, that makes it where people start to see that there is a counterpoint. And that's what we desperately need as related to Black media. We need that counterpoint, because without that counterpoint, we don't get to see the other side of things. And that's one of the big problems we've had with Black media. I saw in the 90s and the early 2000s, I mean, we had the people like your Lee Daniels and your Tyler Perrys and your Oprah Winfrey's only giving us a one-sided point. And even in the 90s, when it came to black men, when they had all of these black man bashing narratives, we didn't get that counterpoint. And we're finally getting that counterpoint as related to black people. And that's one of the positive things about the media. But we have to make that progress in, again, taking those steps away from mainstream media, because it's clear to me that, again, it was never built or designed for us. So the whole thing is we have to start coming together because, again, unity is the strength. That's what we were told. That's what we were told back in the 70s, and we saw it in the civil rights movement. We need to have that unity. And again, that's another core component of new black media is we learn how to work together. And again, I had a comment on a video a while back. A guy said, oh, black-owned businesses don't work together. And again, he talked about how new black media doesn't work with black-owned businesses. Well, this business has basically been working on this platform for over 5 years. I mean, I started doing live streams about 2018, 2019. And ever since then, I have always gone out and supported black-owned businesses, put out the word to black-owned businesses, helped a lot of black comic publishers get their sales up on Kickstarter, helped a lot of people get their sales up on their books, and also went out here and promoted different black-owned products. Again, I have been doing this for years, and you have people saying, oh, that black businesses, that black platforms don't help out black businesses, but I've been doing that for years. And again, that's another core component of supporting new black media, because new black media is us. But in order for new black media to get stronger, we've got to work together, and we've got to work together to make new black media the place for black people, where we get our stories told, where we get our experiences presented, where we're not going out here taking points from other people as related to who we are. This is us defining ourselves on our own terms. This is what's really what we need as related to media. And again, we have to walk away from this whole mainstream media platforms, because I hear a lot of people, again, they talk about, oh, we got to boycott. No, I'm not boycotting a platform. I was never there at this point. I'm like, I don't need to boycott these guys as related to their media, because I already know that their media platform is racist. I know that the stuff they're going to push on there is racist. So I'm not going to waste my time over there. I'd rather invest my time building new black media and building new black media to inspire and uplift brothers and sisters and help take them to the next level.
There it is. There it is. I mean, from what you've said, what I've said, I mean, right now, if people were to go over to niceradionetwork.com, they can hear this broadcast. We're working together, not just us talking, but also with both of our platforms. And I truly believe there are more people that want to see this. But we got to, we've got to be fearless in making that happen. And so, like I said before, I'm definitely about collaboration. I'm all for it. And hey, Sean, if there's a news story that I've talked about on Chris and Company, and it's something profound, by all means, you talk about it on your show, talk about it on your channel, all right? Because hey, two perspectives is better than one. And I'm hey, I'm willing to admit that. But so I'm all about collaboration, man. I really am. And so I enjoy this. I enjoy this. I know it's been about a month since I was here last time. So it was time for me to come back on. I like the topic and subject matter. But I do want to ask you a question. Did you see the clip of Angela Rye starting to cry on their podcast? There's somebody listening to us. Did you get to see that?
I haven't seen it, but I am. When I do take a look at it, that's one's going to the barbecue. I mean, that might be Monday's video. That might be the one I talk about on Monday, because that shows you how pathetic this woman is. I mean, as related to these black bootlegs, again, these black bootlegs know that their time is on the way up, and that's why they're acting all desperate like this. I mean, Roland Martin was, again, when he lost his job, and he couldn't make it on YouTube. He started cursing and going crazy. And now we got Angela Rye with lettuce and tomatoes on the side. Now realizing that there's no white zaddy to give her a job, and she's out here again acting up. Now it talks about she wants to.
There's another thing. The reason why she's acting up because she thought that she can say what she can say and make all these big bucks, be this super influencer, and she's garbage.
Yeah.
She ain't shit. Her, Tiffany Cross Eyes, and Zesty Gillum. Those three, let me tell you something. It takes all three of them just to screw in a light bulb, let alone trying to be be the influencers of black media. You're high. They're high. All right. And so she's crying. She's not crying really because nobody's paying them any attention. She's crying because the bitch is broke. And she's not making the money that she thought she was going to make. And from what I found out is I think Charlemagne the God, he's behind putting that show together. And so he's not making any money off of that. And eventually he's going to have to cancel it. And they know they have to be canceled. And then guess what? They got to go on YouTube and try to figure it out. And here's the thing. If you don't know how to use YouTube, you're going to have a hard way to go. And so it's like what we said. Tiffany Cross, she's used to being on a show, but she doesn't have to worry about production. She don't have to worry about sound engineer. She don't have to worry about none of that. See, her sedity ass, when she comes on to YouTube, and it's gonna happen because that three-headed show is about to die out, if not already. She's gonna have to learn how to produce and put together her very own content. All right, because once again, her head has been gassed up that she was this big mainstream influence on MSNBC. Nobody in digital media cares about that crap. Ain't that right, Roland Martin? You found out that just because you was on CNN, his numbers limit. He can't even outdo Jason Black.
No.
Jason Black's numbers is crushing Roland Martin's. That's why he called him out. But that's the thing. We're making a difference. But we need more support. We need all of you. And eventually, what I'm going to do eventually on my YouTube, I know. I have two YouTube channels. I got one, Chris Radio, and I have my studio YouTube account, Mr. Chris. All right. What I'm going to be doing, I'm going to take segments of Chris and Company. So I usually do 5 segments on my broadcast. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go into my archives and I'm going to pluck out one segment from each of my shows, okay? Each of my episodes. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to put them on YouTube, all right? And then, hey, if you want to listen to this particular episode in its entirety, I'm going to leave a direct link of that episode in the description box. And then all you got to do is go to the description box, click on it. It's going to send you to niceradionetwork.com, exactly to the archived episode where I said what I said on that particular clip. So that way, then you'll be able to follow me that way. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. That's right. I'm pimping YouTube. That's right. I'm going to use YouTube for what it really is. And what it really is, it's a white supremacist website. And what it does, they hype up and they stay quiet about the right wing channels and all of and the MAGA channels. They don't have a problem with those guys. But then when they come over to any type of black content, hell, oh my gosh, not only Professor Black Truth, there's a gamer, a black guy gamer. He even got his channel shadow banned. And he don't talk like us. In fact, he's a gamer. And he did a whole thing on YouTube.
I did a whole video on him.
Huh? What was that?
I did a whole video on him.
Yeah, you sure did. So
it shows how these platforms really don't want anything that doesn't fit their narrative. I mean, they'll love a bootleg like an Eric July. They love having him on a platform. They love a guy like Kevin Samuels talking gender war stuff. But when you start talking black empowerment, they have an issue with you.
Exactly. Remember the story that I talked about on Chris and Company, and I emailed it to you, where 8 black YouTube content creators sued YouTube, had YouTube dead to rights, and the judge turned around and said, nope, And when they absolutely proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that YouTube violated First Amendment rights, and yet the judge said, nope.
And that's why we got to have our own stuff.
Exactly. This is at the highest levels, folks. This is systemic racism on steroids. Yeah, Corey Kenshin. Yeah. And the judge, I think he got some weird last name. I can't think of it real quick. I can't think of it right at this second. But yeah, he sure did. It starts with his last name starts with a letter C. Now that much I do know. But yeah, we're in this alone. We got no friends. We have none. And if you want to hear more straight up, true black media content, we've got to get rid of the grifters. Flat out. We got to get rid of them. The grifters got to go. Full stop. They completely got to go.
Yep. We got to get rid of these grifters, these con men. I mean, Jay left a super chat saying that, there's all these grifters like Umar Johnson, who's a main-time hustler, Bryce Watkins, and others out here hustling. They just basically use black empowerment as a narrative so they can make money, but never really produce any tangible results. Now, when it comes to black empowerment, people who are about the business, we do produce tangibles, like when I produced the tangible of the John Haynes comic book, or one of the books that I produced. Again, these are tangibles I can show you directly as results. And again, New Black Media is all about results and about producing tangible results that help empower us. Now, when it comes to these bootlicks, and I'm going to get into this that's when I film on Saturday. When it comes to the Angela Rise, the reason why these people fail is because white supremacy already knows about these people. Again, it's like a chess game. They already know who they can get 7 steps ahead of, and they know that these people have no talent. They have no skills, and all they're there is to do is just parrot what they're told, and they have no independent thoughts of their own. And that we see that once they get on a platform like YouTube, where you have to actually have talent to create content. I mean, you actually have to have talent to be able to find stories to talk about as related to videos. You have to actually have talent as related to being able to create content. I mean, you have to have actual talent. And somebody like Angela Wright doesn't have talent. Yeah, they got a college degree in communications or whatever, but they ain't got no actual talent. So this is why these people fall apart. Like we saw with Roland Martin, when he decided to go on YouTube, he basically just crashed and burned. And Angela Rye is just crying because she has to actually go out here and find stories and topics to talk about.
She got to find a job.
Yeah.
She's got to go and find a real job. That's her problem.
Sean will hire her.
Now, I got to tell you, this is breaking news, Sean. I just put the link in the chat box. Check this out. Judge rules Reddit and YouTube must face lawsuits claiming they enabled the Buffalo grocery store mass shooter. A New
Oh my
York
goodness.
state judge ruled that plaintiffs may try to prove social media platforms were designed to addict and radicalize users like the shooter who was 18 at the time. Now, what did I just say? What did I just say? YouTube will shut us down. They are racist. Full
Yeah.
stop. They shut down and shadow ban black content creators. But when it comes to white content creators, far right groups, and things of that nature, YouTube doesn't touch them. So much so that a judge just ruled in New York State, your state,
Yeah.
for that matter, that yes, Reddit and YouTube can be sued. So basically, what's happening, nieces and nephews, the families of the people that got shot from that racist cracker at the grocery store, the families can sue Reddit and YouTube because the judge ruled that those social media platforms enabled that grocery store shooter.
And they have a strong case for that. I say they have a strong case because these websites have been social media have been using algorithms, and these algorithms have basically been feeding these individuals all of these different channels. And as they've been feeding them these channels, what's been happening is it creates these echo chambers, and these echo chambers basically they turbocharge these racists to be motivated to participate in this kind of violence. So I really see where they have a really strong case because their algorithms, I know for a fact, as related to looking at different things. I mean, I see a lot of when you go to a gender war page or a channel, they feed you more gender war content. If you go to a comic channel, they feed you more comic channels. And when you talk about social justice warriors and what they call woke, they feed you this information, and people just are they're fed this information. It creates this echo chamber, and that's what basically radicalizes these individuals to participate in these crimes. So there's a really strong case for this lawsuit, and I've seen this happen again with these algorithms. Again, these algorithms on Google searches, these algorithms on YouTube platform searches. Again, the case is there, and that's what shows how they manipulate media as related to narratives. I mean, they really manipulate media as related to narratives, and they think they do this to program you with ideas, but the whole thing is they're programming a lot of guys to become radicalized, similar to what we're seeing with people who get online and they see all of this misinformation. And that's what the danger of this internet is as related to these searches. Instead of you getting objective information, you're being fed misinformation. And that misinformation is making it where people are motivated to go out here and commit crimes.
Most absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, I will be doing some more research on this particular story, and I'm going to be talking about it this coming Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 noon Pacific, home of the Chris and Gumby Radio Show, www.niceradionetwork.com. This is going to be a story I will be talking about on the CCRS. So, hey, you guys tune in. Sean, I know you're going to be talking about it. I know you're going to put this on your list.
Yeah, that's one story I definitely want to talk about. I mean, if I can send me the link to that to my email, I really want to go do this research because this really has been proven a point I have seen as related to what's going on, as related to the internet and this misinformation. Like I recently did a whole video talking about this New Glow Baptist Church. I mean, they create this misinformation to get black people riled up. I mean, they want to get us riled up and have us going back and forth with each other. And we've got to really be careful about the information we're looking at. And we've got to go do that research and be thorough, because it's clear to me that there's people out here looking to push agendas to manipulate black people. And that's why we have to have new black media out here presenting the actual information, like I did in the case of the New Glow Baptist Church, because I saw other YouTubers talking about this church thinking it was real, but I wanted people to understand that you really need actual information to prevent you to facts, so that you don't wind up going off and believing something that isn't true is actually true.
Well, give people the context first because they may not understand what you're talking about as far as this church is concerned.
Well, the context of the New Globe Baptist Church is that they had pictures of this provocatively dressed black woman talking about black women were being these sexually promiscuous in this church. They were posing in these provocative pictures. And when it came to that picture, I got that picture on Facebook. Somebody posted the picture trying to say that this is the image of black women being sexually promiscuous in the church. But when I did my research, and I just did a little bit of a Google search, I started to find information that showed me that this wasn't an actual church, that this was just a group of AI images created by some individual. And this AI image was basically designed to present you an image of black women, presenting them as black Jezebels in this church. And it was designed to basically get two things going. They wanted to get the gender war as related to going back and forth in the hopes of getting press for their platform. And they also wanted you to go to the Patreon page, hoping that some of these thirsty simps who went out here watching Ghetto Gaggers would go out here and invest in this site. And these people, they went there thinking, oh, this is a real woman. No, it's not a real woman. It's an AI image. And it's an AI image meant to deceive black people, mislead black people, because this isn't comedy like some people want to say. Like, because when it comes to comedy, people are honest, like the YouTuber Liana Kia. She's very honest about her comedy. And the whole thing is that there are other YouTubers like Andrea's Fashion Galaxy. She uses comedy in her stuff, but she's very honest about it. But this person is not being honest. They want to willfully and intentionally mislead you. And you really have to go again, do your research, because there are folks out here looking to mislead black people to, again, get us fighting with each other or buying into ideas that aren't true. We really have to be very careful about the media we imbibe, and we have to go check our sources. That's something I had to do a while back because somebody made a statement saying white supremacy was the reason that Jada Pinkett Smith said that her Cleopatra documentary failed. And when I did research, I found out this was a website creating false narratives. And again, wanted to get people riled up to talk bad about Jada Pinkett Smith. But the whole thing is there's a lot of fake news out there, a lot of misinformation out there, and we've got to be on point. And that's where New Black Media comes in. New Black Media is the only thing that's going to protect people from misinformation like this, because we go do the research and go do the due diligence as related to these narratives to keep many of these anti-black narratives from being pushed in our community.
Yeah, Jada Pinkett, she does enough damage herself.
Yeah,
she does a good job with that and still continuing the bad work. But yeah, now I will say this though, I had been asked to attend church, right, from some women that I know, especially back in Cleveland where I used to live. And the number one selling point they would sell me on, Sean, was where there's a lot of women there. I'm like, and I'm immediately turned off because I don't go to church to pick up chicks. Who the hell does that? Church is not designed for that. Church is supposed to get spiritual enlightenment. You go to clear your head of all the negativity that you've been dealing with. You embrace some of the good things that you've been dealing with, and then you get a clear head. You don't go to church looking to get laid. I mean, I just
that runs against the church in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, right. I just have so much disrespect for church and religion because I'm telling you, is I can go back when I was 6, 7 years old. I felt the manipulation then. I knew that there's just something wasn't right about sitting in a Baptist church for 4 or 5 hours at a time and all of this. You don't do this, you don't do that, you better not do this, or you're causing a sin against God. You go home and you still trying to rub two nickels together, or at that time my mother was, but yet the pastor and the missus were driving out with their Cadillacs and didn't even have the damn decency to give a person a ride home. So I knew back then I knew back then in my heart that whatever this religion is, it wasn't for me. It wasn't for Chris Bennett, and I stand on that. You know, and now it is just it doesn't even today's churches to religion. It's been molested. That's the only word I could come up with. It's been totally molested. I practice Zen. I practice the Zen philosophy. I practice spirituality, but I can't get down with religion because man and women have have molested to the point where it's no good. It's no good of an outlet, you know, and I mean, I hope I ain't offend anybody who's religious, or anything like that. It's just not for me. Is
Well,
just
I have been following the Most High ever since I was 16 years old. And one of the things I see is that just people get a miseducation because the pastors, again, are unethical and they don't really, they make compromises with the world. They won't tell people things that are important with their sermons. They just tell people what they want to hear. And that's the real problem with the churches as related to compromise. And that's why we have these problems with our churches because our church, they're not really teaching the gospel the way God wants the gospel to be taught. A lot of these guys, again, they're making compromises in order to make money, and they think about making money off most of their female congregation. That's why they're always talking about getting women. They're not really out here teaching men what they need to know. They're not teaching men about their role as a leader, not really teaching men about their role as a head or steward. I mean, you don't see those sermons being taught. That's why I teach them myself on this channel because the pastors won't talk about that stuff, nor will they talk about the woman's role in God's order as a helpmeet. So when it comes to these individuals, again, they have made compromises with the world, and that's really messed up a lot of the getting the message out about the gospel. I mean, that's why a lot of people have a problem with the black church because the black church has made compromises with white supremacy. And again, made compromises because the pastor wants to be able to get sexual access to the women and also wants to get access to their wallets. I talk about this in why 70% of black women are single and the woman crisis. And again, this is why these type of pastors will be beaten with more stripes because they had a responsibility as stewards of God to get that word out, but they remain silent. And that's why so many people are spiritually lost in the black community because these guys didn't go out here and stand up with integrity. No, they didn't have any integrity at all. And that's another part of media we have to talk about because, again, many of these churches, again, they promote their pseudo religion, which isn't even actual religion. It's just them looking to make money. It's just a money making scheme. And that's another part of the media we have to walk away from because that's not our media. That's another part of white supremacy because religion was a part of white supremacy. It's about controlling black people through religion, making them feel good and pacifying them and not giving them the guidance and spiritual guidance that the Most High wants to give you.
exactly. Look at Bishop T.D. Jakes. He's caught up in that Diddy scandal. Look at Eddie Long and that gay scandal that messed up his church. These aren't good people.
No,
These are, and I'm going to be judgmental because anybody who's listened to me know how I am. These are scumbags pretending to be church people. These are scumbags pretending to be a vessel to God. These are scumbags pretending to be of anything of holy nature. And before some goonhead comes and tells me, well, they're not perfect. That's the problem. These are the same people that Sean and I grew up with. These are the same pastors and preachers that Sean and I grew up with, always talking about you being a better person. You don't fornicate, you don't sin, blah 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 blah. And as soon as church let out, They're the main ones sleeping with somebody's wife. They're the main ones going to have some gutter gay sex. So my thing is this: if you call yourself being in a position of power, if you call yourself being a position of authority, and I don't respect you as a person, I definitely cannot respect your position, because clearly the authoritative position that you claim yourself to be, pastor or bishop or whatever crackhead church title you want to have, if you're not practicing what you're preaching, clearly you don't respect that title either. So that's the thing. So I don't get into now the baby boomers, they love that stupid crap. Well, I don't respect the person, but I respect their title. Well, okay, you want to split hairs and semantics like that, go waste your own time. But Mr. Chris, because guess what? You and I, Sean, we're accountable for each and every day of our lives. When some crazy crime story is going on, what's the number one question? Is that person black? Because it's all about the narrative. We get blamed for stuff when there's no black people around, but yet we'll still get the looks. We'll still get the side eye. And as far as I'm concerned, if I can handle being accountable. If me as a black man got to be held accountable 24/7, that's fine. I can deal with that. But God damn it, I'm holding every single race, creed, and religion just as accountable as I'm held accountable. And if you don't like that, suck it. This is real. Woo! Sean, I love it. Love doing this barbecue with you.
I'm glad you do.
Well, we've been at it for a while. I know you've got to go. Yeah. So my last words are, this is an election year. We have the power. The black man and the black woman collectively have the power to decide who's going to become president or not. We must get more politically literate. All right. Listen to us. We're the voices, not the Angela Rye's or the Roland Martins. Stop listening to those clowns and goons. You already know that the mainstream media is filled with maggot propaganda. But right here, we tell you what the mainstream media does not have the courage to really say. We break it down by every narrative that they throw at us. So, with that, if you like what you hear tonight, just please tune in this coming Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 noon Pacific, www.niceradionetwork.com, the Chris and Company radio show. I will be talking about this story. I sent it to you too, by the way, Sean. So I emailed that to you about this Reddit and YouTube facing lawsuits over the Buffalo grocery mass shooter. That's very important. That affects us black people, because what that does is, if there are other white mass shooters out there looking to gun us down, and these social media concentration camps like Reddit, Serena Williams's husband's website, by the way, just to let you guys know, okay? Because she's part of that ilk. And also YouTube, when they enable these white supremacist groups that are on YouTube, guess what? This is going to be a domino effect. Then the next white shooter that got their information from YouTube, and guess what? Then families can sue them too. So this, like Professor Black Truth says, as one defeat can fuel the next defeat, but at the same time, one victory can fuel the next victory. And that'll keep, and YouTube gets sued enough times, they'll start shadow banning these white supremacist channels as well.
And they'll stop these echo chambers from forming.
Exactly.
Because that's what's happening. It's really these algorithms and stuff. They're going to have to be forced to change these algorithms because this is creating, again, mass shooters. I believe it's even creating terrorists for different people because, again, they don't flag that content. I mean, we had the guy who got decapitated, and he killed his father by decapitating him, put it on YouTube, remained on YouTube for hours. And when you have a black channel, we can make one video about black empowerment and automatically get flagged before the video even finishes. But this guy stayed on for over 8-9 hours after murdering his father, goes on a rant, and remained on. Again, showing the double standard because they watch our channels heavily, but they don't watch these white supremacists. Basically, they give them a pass to participate in anything. We can't even get a video appealed. Again, the algorithm will basically, and the AI will just basically make it where they'll put stuff on our channel, and then they'll say, oh, it stands, but the white guy can remain back on the air talking all sorts of racist stuff, can even murder someone, and they leave it up there.
And one more thing, TikTok is just as bad.
Yeah.
TikTok is bad. I do my previously from Chris and Company. So I do these promos. I put promos on my TikTok page. So once again, I can gather people to go to my website and check out my content. I can't even promote some of those previously, no cussing or anything, and it just straight talk, right? Political talk on what I talk about on Chris and Company. I can't get them promoted because TikTok comes to me talking about some violating standards, but you can see all types of broads in their bras, in their panties, shaking everything, and it's absolutely no problem. Okay, you can find women literally in see-through bras on TikTok, and they got all kinds of views, but that's okay. I can't even promote a simple 90-second, just a small little 90-second promotional commercial to get people to come over to Nice Radio Network. So right now, I don't care if TikTok gets shut down. In fact, that might be the only good thing President Alzheimer's disease do. Now, the House is already passed to have TikTok taken down. The Senate has yet to vote to have it taken down. And Alzheimer's himself, Biden, said that once both Congress signs to have TikTok taken down, he'll sign it. He said he'll sign it. So I'm all for it. Shut it down. Shut it down. Because if we can't talk, if black B1 media content creators cannot talk on these social media concentration camps, then none of them need to exist. But I don't have that problem because you good folks can come over to the niceradionetwork.com and check me out.
And you guys can come over to SJS Direct if you want to support new black media, because a lot of us complain about this media, but we really have to go out here and support the new black media that's out here trying to give you the real stories and the positive stories that show us how we really are. That's why I work on, again, the SJS Direct imprint. And again, every dollar you spend helps me to be able to make more books like those in the like the new book, Esteem Horror in the Hamptons, which is available now on Amazon.com. And again, if you want positive media, you've got to put the money into this media. And this, I have, again, these 4 books. Again, Esteem Horror in the Hamptons is out now. I also have John Haynes' Illuminati, which came out in March, and ISIS Dark Incubus, and ISIS Amari's Revenge. And I also have John Haynes at Death's Door, which is available now on Lulu.com. And with all that said, I'm going to get ready to wrap up tonight's stream. I want to thank Mr. Chris for coming out tonight and being my guest tonight on tonight's stream. And I hope you'll be here for next week's stream. Everybody have a good evening, and everybody have a good night.
Good night, Sean.
And also, if you guys want to help the channel, you can donate to the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That also helps me to be able to pay for the internet and pay the bills. So if you guys could help out that way, I'm going to leave a link to the Cash App in the chat. That also helps with the channel. And again, that every dollar that you spend on books or on the Cash App really helps keep new Black media on it, like SJS Direct here, going, and helps me to be able to make more videos and make more content. And if you don't want to use Cash App, you guys can donate to the PayPal by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to make a monthly thing, you can go out here and donate to the Patreon. That also helps out as well. Again, every dollar that you spend on new Black media helps creators like myself be able to get the word out and keep our voices out there. And again, you can't really expect Hollywood to make our kind of media. Again, Lee Daniels and Tyler Perry ain't making no ISIS series or no John Haynes series or no Esteem series. And they ain't making books like The Man Crisis or Stop Simping that help you. Again, those mainstream media platforms are not looking to empower Black people. So you got to go out here and continue supporting the platform. And again, I want to thank everybody for coming out to tonight's stream. And I hope you'll be there for next week's stream. Everybody have a good evening.